The auction hall of Station Nariza reeked of ozone and desperation. Hundreds of species packed the tiered seats. Frackin merchants with their crystalline exoskeletons. Queller traders whose tentacles writhed with anticipation, and countless others whose names Jonas Reed had never bothered to learn. He stood at the back, oil still staining his fingernails from the morning's repair work on a Centauri freighter. He hadn't planned to attend, but curiosity, that most human of traits, had pulled him through the door. The auctioneer, a four-armed Dralthian with a voice like grinding gears, gestured toward a suspension cage that descended from the ceiling. Lot 47, it announced. Lupine specimen, albino, defective genetics. Starting bid, 50 credits. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Jonas craned his neck to see. The creature inside the cage was small, no larger than a human infant. Its fur was pure white, almost translucent under the harsh auction lights. But it was the eyes that seized Jonas by the throat. Twin orbs that glowed with a pale, ethereal luminescence like moonlight given form. The pup trembled, pressing itself against the bars, and those moon-bright eyes swept across the jeering crowd with something that looked heartbreakingly like hope. "Ugly thing," muttered a Queller beside Jonas. The Voshan pack tried to drown it twice. "Bad luck, albinos, weak, worthless, 30 credits," someone shouted, and more laughter followed. Jonas felt something crack open in his chest. He'd seen that look before. In the mirror years ago when he'd been just another orphaned kid on Earth, too small, too quiet, too different to matter. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but cruelty, it seemed, was universal. The pup's eyes found his across the crowd. For one impossible moment, Jonas could have sworn they recognized each other. Two outcasts in a universe that measured worth in strength and utility. His hand shot up. 5,000 credits. The hall fell silent. Every eye turned toward the human mechanic in his grease-stained coveralls. The auctioneer's mandibles clicked in confusion. Did you say 5,000? You heard me. Jonas's voice was steady, though his heart hammered against his ribs. 5,000 credits was everything he'd saved in 3 years of welding hull breaches and recalibrating quantum drives. It was his ticket off this station, his chance at something better, but the pup was still watching him with those glowing eyes. Sold. The auctioneer's hammer fell before anyone could process what had happened. Jonas carried the cage back to his quarters, a cramped compartment near the station's engineering sector that smelled of burnt circuits and recycled air. His hand shook as he opened the door. The pup didn't move, just watched him with that luminous gaze. "Hey," Jonas whispered, kneeling slowly. "I'm not going to hurt you." He'd expected fear or aggression or the blank emptiness of a beaten animal. Instead, the pup tilted its head, studying him with an intelligence that made Jonas's breath catch. Then slowly it stepped forward on unsteady legs. Jonas opened the cage door. The pup emerged, and Jonas saw the full extent of what the galaxy had deemed worthless. Her fur wasn't just white. It seemed to absorb light and reflect it back, transformed like starlight filtering through clouds. Her paws left faint, glowing prints on the metal floor that faded after a few seconds. And those eyes, gods, those eyes held galaxies. "Lunra," Jonas said softly. The name came to him unbidden, pulled from some half-remembered dream. "Your name is Lunra." The pup, Lunra, made a sound between a whimper and a trill. Then she did something that would echo through the galaxy in the years to come. She knelt. Not the crouch of a frightened animal, but a deliberate, almost ceremonial lowering of her body. Her glowing eyes never left Jonas's face, and in them, he saw recognition. Not of him specifically, but of what he represented. Kindness in a cruel universe, sanctuary for the unwanted, hope for the hopeless. Jonas's throat tightened. He knelt too, bringing himself level with her. "You're not defective," he said, and his voice cracked. "You're magnificent." Lunra leaned forward and pressed her forehead against his. The contact sent a tingling warmth through Jonas's skin, and for a heartbeat he saw, felt, something vast and ancient. A memory that wasn't his. Wolves running beneath twin moons, their howls shaking the heavens. A species older than most spacefaring civilizations, guardians of worlds now forgotten, their power dormant but not gone. The galaxy had looked at Lunra and seen a genetic mistake. Jonas saw a legend. The weeks that followed changed everything. Lunra grew rapidly, her presence transforming Jonas's tiny quarters into something that felt like home. She never barked or growled. Instead, she communicated with soft trills and that penetrating gaze, and Jonas found himself understanding her as clearly as if she spoke standard. Word spread through Station Nariza. The crazy human who'd spent a fortune on the defective wolf became the subject of mockery, then curiosity, then something approaching awe. Because Lunra had a gift, machines responded to her. When she walked past malfunctioning equipment, it hummed back to life. When she sat beside Jonas while he worked, his repairs took half the time and lasted twice as long. The engineering sector's efficiency increased by 30% in a month. She's attuned to quantum frequencies, Jonas explained to the station chief, a skeptical Vraken named Thex. Her biology processes electromagnetic fields in ways our instruments can't. She's not broken. She's evolved. Thex's crystalline face reflected confusion. But the Voshan are idiots, Jonas interrupted. They measure worth in teeth and claws. They never looked deeper. That night, alone in his quarters with Lunra curled at his feet, now the size of a Great Dane, her fur luminous in the darkness, Jonas thought about humanity's place in the galaxy. Humans weren't the strongest or the smartest. They didn't have natural weapons or telepathic abilities, but they had something the galaxy often lacked. They knew how to see beauty in broken things. They understood that different didn't mean defective. Lunra's eyes opened, twin moons in the darkness. She stood and walked to the viewport, gazing out at the stars. Jonas joined her. "Ready to go home?" he asked because he'd been researching. He'd found references to Lunra's kind in ancient databases, the celestial Lupines, guardians who'd once walked between worlds before a great war scattered them. Most had died. The survivors had hidden their gifts, becoming ordinary wolves to escape persecution. Lunra had been born with her abilities intact, a throwback to ancient glory. And the Voshan, ignorant of their own heritage, had tried to destroy her. "We'll find your people," Jonas promised. "The ones who remember. The ones who'll understand." Lunra pressed against his leg, and Jonas felt that warmth again, that connection deeper than words. The galaxy had auctioned off a miracle for 30 credits. But a humble human mechanic had knelt in awe, and in doing so, had reminded the universe of a simple truth. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't technology or tactics. It was knowing that sometimes, the most worthless-seeming creature in a cage might just be the most magnificent being in the cosmos, and having the courage to pay the price.